And today's video is about what I would do differently if I could start over. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like myself, introverts or extroverts, either one. But I'm an introvert. And I was interested in real estate investing, but I didn't know where to start. So I just took the plunge and bought my first property without any kind of guidance or hand holding, and wound up losing money. But it did lead me to other people who did turn out to be able to help me, and I helped them in return. So if you're a beginning investor and you just don't know where to start, I have some tips for you. If you hang around to the end, I got a piece of cowboy wisdom that will. So just to give you a little bit of a perspective as to where I am, I started my real estate investing career in 2023, and I have bought and sold or rented 5 properties as of this week in this March or April. I think this is April 2025. I just closed on my 5th property. It's going to be a rental, but I have done a fix and flip, which was a roughly $500,000 deal. I have bought a condo. I have and rented it out, and I have rehabbed my personal house and rented it out, and then just 3 more regular single family home purchases, which are in the process of they're either rented or they're in the process of being rented. So as I said, I got my 5th property closed on last Friday. We got the contractors out there starting this week to do maintenance on it, get it cleaned up, and we've already had multiple prospects who are interested in renting out both of my most recent purchases. So this video is going to be about hard-earned wisdom. If I were to start over again, the most important thing I would do is nothing. I would have done nothing as far as buying any property before I had at least a mentor or at least friends I could call upon. And that was my first big mistake. Was I did not work with a realtor who was a rental property expert. I was working with a realtor who did regular home purchases, and they didn't know what they didn't know. We wound up making a mistake of overpricing the rental property I bought. It just didn't justify the $1,700 a month rent that I was asking for it, and it took me about 7 months to rectify that. And in the process, I had to spend about over $11,000 out of my own pocket on making the mortgage payments. I don't want to go any deeper into that because I'd really get to the meat of this video, which is what I would do is I would find a local real estate meetup group. I wouldn't just go to one, I'd go to multiple ones. It just so happened that the one I joined was the right fit for me, but there are multiple RIAs, Real Estate Investor Associations, in Houston, Texas, and just because you go to one doesn't mean it's the right fit for you. So you can look around. You can check meetup.com to find local meetups for real estate, maybe even in your hometown, or at least within reasonable driving distance. Or you can go into Google, do a Google search, just type in Real Estate Investing Association or RIA, REIA, and then put in your zip code or put in your city and state, and it should pop up with the local ones. Don't make the mistake of going to Google Maps and searching for RIA, because not all RIAs are stationary, or they're in donated spaces, so they aren't necessarily going to show up on Google Maps. Like the one I go to, it is not on Google Maps because it's actually a space that's donated by the title company that they work with. So you can't find it on Google Maps. You have to go on meetup.com to find it. So the next thing I would not do if I could start over again, and that is I would not loan money to anyone. I was a babe in the woods, and I was wanting to get my feet wet and made the mistake of trusting people, and I take people at their word. I was a member of a coaching program, and I was trying to help my fellow investors, and I thought they were out to help me too. But when it came right down to it, after I loaned money out, the person could not pay it back and made no attempt to pay it back. I chased them for months and months, and I still got an ongoing lawsuit in small claims court to try to get back the remaining balance of the money that they have not paid. I did that twice. Loan money to people I thought I could trust. Turns out, when it comes right down to it, they will not keep their word. So, in the event you do break down and do loan money to anyone, make sure you have enough collateral. That was a mistake on my part. The owner of the RIA, he kind of gives out free advice, and I asked him about the thing, and he said, look, before you loan this money to anybody, you need to make sure the property that they're giving you as collateral is worth the $10,000 that you're loaning them. Number two, you're going to need to make sure that they give you a title or a deed to the property, so that in the event they default on loan, you can actually take possession of the property. And I would charge, he said, I would charge $1,500 just for due diligence, for having to, all the time and effort it takes to go look at the properties, value the properties, and I did not follow his advice. So it's on me. As much as I hate to admit it, it's on me for not following his sage advice. He'd been doing this for 4 years, and he knew what he's talking about, but I was eager to help somebody out, and they needed the money within 5 days. Poof, never heard from them again until I started calling them up and tracking them down. And I ain't got the money. I ain't got the money. Okay. What are you going to do? Take out a small claims court? That's a waste of time and effort. Because if they don't have the money, you can't get it from them. So that's the first key thing. Don't buy anything or loan money out until you have a mentor, somebody for guidance that can help you, walk you through the process. It's a dangerous business of buying property and loaning money out. So that's the next thing I would do is if I had to start it all over again, I would join the RIA. I would make sure the RIA fit my personality, and then I would volunteer in the RIA. And that's what I did. That was another mistake I made. I volunteered to do the wrong jobs in the RIA. I volunteered to help set up the tables and wash the tablecloths and carry out the trash. And I thought by doing that, I would become a member of the inner circle. I was working hard, and I was serious about becoming a member of the RIA and real estate investing. Doesn't work that way. I volunteered hundreds of hours of my time, but editing their videos and posting them on YouTube and creating shorts. I found out the most valuable position a volunteer can have is the sign-in desk. The guy who sits at the front door with the sign-in sheet, takes people's names and phone numbers and email addresses, and just signs them in when everybody's coming in, because you get to meet everybody. You get to meet everybody from the owner down to the newest person who's never been to a RIA meeting before. And people will remember you, and they'll ask you what you do because they're curious. Either they're new people wanting to gain some knowledge, or they're experienced real estate people, and they will know if you might be able to work with them or be a client, or you might provide a service they need. So they're always looking for people, are always looking to network. And as an introvert, it's very difficult for me to do that position, to talk to people and ask them for their phone number and their email address and that kind of stuff, and ask them to sign in. So that was a mistake I made. I could probably do it now. It'd still be a little bit tough to do, but I think I could do it now. And the best part is you only have to volunteer for like an hour and a half once a month, and then you got the rest of the meeting to sit up to listen to the speakers or meet other people, that kind of networking, which is what I should have been doing. But after setting up and tearing down, or just setting up in the morning and getting everything ready, after spending an hour and a half, 2 hours running around and putting up signage and setting up tables and moving chairs around, I was too exhausted to do anything other than just to kind of sit down and power through the 3-hour meeting. I wasn't really paying attention or anything. So yeah, that was another mistake on my part. And the next thing I made a mistake about was volunteering for tearing down after the event was over. Was I couldn't go out and have lunch with all the top level guys. At the end of almost every meeting, the top guys would agree to meet for lunch somewhere nearby, and they'd invite me to come along. And I'd say, I'm sorry, I can't. I got to stay here and help, what's his name, fold up the chairs and tables and stuff like that. Big mistake on my part. I got nothing out of that except a sore back. And as promised, here is your cowboy wisdom moment. If you see a pickup truck and it's got 3 cowboys in it, and they're all sitting on the front seat, so they're all shoulder to shoulder, Of those three cowboys, which one is the true cowboy? The true cowboy is the one in the center. Now, here's the logic behind that. Number one, the guy who sits in the center doesn't have to drive the truck. And number two, the person who sits in the center doesn't have to get out of the truck on the passenger side to open the gates in the pastures and let the truck through and then close the gate behind the truck. So there it is. The true cowboy is the guy who's always in the center, because cowboys develop wisdom and philosophy over time, and they try to make their lives as easy as possible.